Get ready.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, a show where we break down weekly gaming news through in-depth discussion. My name is Keiran, and I'm of course joined by my awesome co-host Tyler. Tyler, how's it going?
It's going pretty well, Karen. Thank you very much for asking. It's been a good week. I'm happy to hear you're doing well too. It's been very busy. Like I said last week, work's getting a bit crazy. But no, yeah, it's been a great week. Gaming wise, played a really fun game, played a really great game, and gaming news this week has just been it's been a lot. It's been a lot to follow. So we got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, we have quite a bit to talk about. But before we go into that, remember you can follow the Play to Win podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game, where you can DM us questions that to answer on the show, or just keep up with what we're doing. Also, here on YouTube, you can subscribe and tick the notification bell so you know when we post new videos, such as Tyler's 5 of Tyler's favorite game trailers that went up yesterday.
Yep, that was a fun one. I like talking about trailers. I like watching trailers for games, and those 5 trailers that I talked about there definitely is like some of the best. Some of the ones where I just go back to just like watch them every now and then because I'm like, man, this is such a great trailer. And I have a list of like 17 more on my phone, so in total like 22 that I chose not to choose from. But I still have those other 17 there, so I'll probably make another video like that at some point in time in the future. Just come back to it and show some more trailers some love. I know I said last week that I was gonna have a Returnal preview up for my video this past week. Obviously that's not the case. But I will explain why that's not the case later on in the show.
Very good. Yeah, I definitely agree with 2 of the trailers you put in there yesterday. The other ones I hadn't. Well, actually 3 because I've seen another one. So yeah, I agree with a lot of the trailers you put in there yesterday. I'll leave it at that.
Without saying specifically like the name of it, I know you said one of them already earlier before we recorded.
Yep.
What were the other 2? Just say like their placement in the video.
The second one and the last one, I think.
Okay. I figured the last one, yeah. The second one, yes, makes sense. I could have seen you either going with the second one or the second to last one.
I forgot which one that was.
Well, go watch the video.
Watch the video, find out.
Go watch the video. People find out. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, but in today's episode of the Play to Win podcast, we will be talking about the Apple versus Epic Games trial, PlayStation being sued, and PlayStation announcing a partnership with Discord. However, before we get to those stories, we do have quite a few brief mentions to get through. The first off being that Valve is being sued for Steam's dominance in PC game sales. Reading from an IGN article written by Liam Wiseman, titled Valve Facing New Lawsuit Over Steam Digital Dominance, and reading from the article, same quote, a game developer and 2 other people are challenging Valve with a lawsuit over the company's dominance in PC digital games distribution. On a blog run by Wallfire Games, CEO David Rosen revealed that he is leading a class action antitrust lawsuit representing game developers against Valve Corporation. He asserted that the near dominance of Steam on the PC game market increases the price of games due to Valve's service taking a 30% commission from the sale of each game. He also said that any attempts to diverge from that system would result in the game being removed from Steam, end quote. 30% is the industry standard, but it's still way too high.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. And I think that this Epic Apple suit, that's this whole trial, has kind of there's a part of it that has shed a bit of light as to why it might be 30% for like across the board. I think we'll probably end up talking about it when we get there in the show. Actually, I'm not sure. Well, yeah, we will get there for sure because I'm looking at the topics that we have for the Apple story. Yeah, so it is a lot of money, but I guess especially the PC space, you could definitely cut that down to 12%. Again, I'm not a finance person. I don't know all the ins and outs of business and stuff like that in terms of like money moves and stuff and things like that. But this is interesting. I did not know about this. This came out yesterday, this news?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely did not see this yesterday. Very busy day.
Yeah, I think this actually kind of relates to the PlayStation suit we're gonna be talking about a little bit later on. It's somewhat the same thing.
Kind of. So I know the PlayStation thing you're talking about. I think it's somewhat similar.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll be very interested to see the outcome of that lawsuit because I mean, the only other big game distributions, I guess you could say company on PC is the Epic Game Store, which I know a lot of people are very opposed to for many reasons that I probably won't get into. But and then I mean you also have things like CD keys and like Blizzard and all that, and Ubisoft and EA have their own stores as well. But like if the first thing that comes to my mind when you think of PC games, it's Steam. So I'm very interested to see the outcome of this lawsuit.
Uh-huh.
Second up, oh, I just opened a story not that I didn't mean to. Next up, World of Warcraft: The Burning Crusade Classic release date has been announced by Blizzard. Reading an IGN article written by Adam Bankhurst, saying, quote, Blizzard Entertainment has announced that World of Warcraft: Burning Crusade Classic will officially be released on June 1st, 2021. As detailed by Blizzard, Burning Crusade Classic will launch in the Americas, Europe, Taiwan, Korea, and Australia/New Zealand on June 1st at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. British Time, and on June 2nd at 7 a.m. Is that Central? CST?
CST. That I don't believe that is US time. That's overseas.
Yeah. I don't know what KST is Korea Standard Time, which it releases at 8 a.m. and then 10 a.m. Australian time.
7 the CST might be China.
That makes sense.
Maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean I'm not a World of Warcraft person. I've tried it, can't get into it. But if you like World of Warcraft, great for you.
No, yeah, this is cool. Again, I'm not a WoW person either, but I know big deal here. Good for them.
Yeah.
Go enjoy that.
Another big announcement from a big publisher this week was Ubisoft announced a free-to-play Division game called The Division Heartland. Reading from another IGN article written by Matt Perslow, saying, quote, Ubisoft announced The Division Heartland, a free-to-play game set in the Tom Clancy Division universe. Developed by the original Tom Clancy studio Red Storm Entertainment, The Division Heartland will be a standalone from the main Division series. It's planned for release on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC in the 2021 to 2022 window. No details have been offered beside those, so it's currently yet very unclear as to what kind of game The Division Heartland will be. Beyond its free-to-play nature, Ubisoft does say that it will be an all-new perspective on the universe in a new setting. Those interested can sign up to get involved early hands-on opportunities, end quote. I don't have anything to say about this. No idea what the game is. All we know is it's coming out sometime in the next year to year and a half. So I really don't have more to say about it than that.
I think it is very interesting that they are doing this, that they're putting out a free-to-play version, a free-to-play game for Division. We don't know any details about it, how it plays into the story of Division 1 and Division 2. We don't know, what exactly the business model behind it is going to be like, any of that stuff. But I think it's interesting that they're expanding the franchise in this way. Because, I mean, there's already, if I'm correct, supposed to be a movie. There's already supposed to be a movie in the works. For Netflix, for the series.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a book coming out as well. As the article says here, there's going to be a, quote, transmedia, in quote, like expansion of the Division of the series. So them doing this, it's one step in that direction. It's kind of like, going like kind of sort of how Call of Duty, you have their premium title, then they have Warzone, which is the free-to-play version. That's not to say that this is going to be a battle royale, but they have the free-to-play area kind of on lockdown for the franchise. And there's like the mobile area. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Ubisoft has a mobile Division game. That way, get just a way to have the franchise have its like toes in multiple different areas and forms of media and all like that, to bring people into the fold and into just the series and the premium title if it interests them enough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I'm looking at the like image that they have for Heartland here. I don't know why, but it's giving me State of Decay vibes.
Not gonna lie, I got the same, and I think it's because of the image that they have. It's because of like the bird image. Granted, I know nothing about State of Decay, but that bird image, I'm like, feels like State of Decay-ish to me. But again, it seems cool. Would it be surprised if we see this at E3?
What a perfect segue to our next brief mention, because speaking of E3, E3 2021 has games from Square Enix, Sega, Gearbox, and more confirmed. I'm really preferring IGN today. Another IGN article written again by Matt Perslow, saying, quote, the ESA has confirmed that games from a number of prominent developers and publishers will be part of E3 2021, in addition to previously announced partners. Square Enix, Sega, Bandai Namco, and Gearbox Entertainment are all confirmed to have games to show at E3's all-virtual event for 2021. They're also joined by Xseed Games and Marvelous USA Inc., Freedom Games, Devious Eve Entertainment, Turtle Beach Verizon, and Binge.com. End quote. Cool. I'm weirdly excited to see what Gearbox have to show. Like it's not gonna. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before the show. It's definitely not going to be Borderlands 4, even though that's 100% in development right now.
Yeah. No. If they have any Borderlands there, it might be some DLC. I don't know exactly where they are in terms of DLC for that game. Like if they're done or if there's still more in the pipeline that they need to come out with. But maybe some DLC for that. Maybe Brothers in Arms in some capacity. Who knows? Who's to say? But
Duke Nukem.
No. But no, yeah, it's cool seeing all these companies say, hey, we're going to be there, show their support behind E3 this year after last year it being canceled. And as we've said multiple times before, the constant question of, is E3 necessary? Is E3 relevant? Is E3 dead? E3 should go away, so on and so forth. It's good to see all the companies rallying behind it this year, showing some support, even if they're still going to do their own show of some, their own little showcase. It's still nice to see them say, hey, we're gonna support the show this year. We're backing it. It's cool.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited to see what everyone has to show at E3. I mean, I've said before, E3 is like my favorite time of the year. So, and we are about a month away now.
Just about. When this podcast goes live, it will be, I think,
2 days.
Yeah, like day before or something like that.
Yeah. Moving on, Stadia's head of product has left Google. So
yet another blow to their company.
Yep. Reading from another IGN article, by Jordan Alleman, saying, quote, the head of product at Google Stadia has left the company. The information published a report noting that John Justice, vice president and head of product at Google Stadia, has moved on from Google. This was later confirmed in a statement acquired by 9 to 5, saying, quote, we can confirm John is no longer with Google and we wish him well on his next steps, end quote, Google told 9 to 5. Justice was one of the lead faces behind Google Stadia and previously spoke to IGN during Gamescom 2019 about the future of the platform. It's another blow for the cloud gaming service, which shut down all of its internal game development studios in January this year. Here's our... end quote. I don't need to read that. Stadia, I think Stadia is in a similar situation to Amazon Game Studios right now, where they just can't catch a break. They are not doing well.
I mean, they said, they're not going to do any like first party games. They're going to do just third party games. That was basically the nail in the coffin. Everyone's now like leaving the ship. Yeah, it's what it is. I'm not surprised. Like whenever I see someone else is leaving Google or doing something else from Google, I'm just like, it's sad to see the potential of Google Stadia kind of like go to waste. And it's like, yes, it's still there and functional for third party developers and all like that, but there was a lot of potential there. And
Yeah.
who knows what we could have seen from like Google first party studios if they like made games specifically taking advantage of the cloud and all like that. Could have been really cool and interesting to see. But I mean, yet another one bites the dust.
Yeah, I think at this point it's a question of when does that final nail go in the coffin?
Oh, I mean
'Cause
the final nails in the coffin. It just hasn't been buried yet. That's all it is.
yeah. I don't think Stadia is going to be around for like for a lot longer. I think maybe end of next year, like max.
I would be surprised if it makes it to the end of next year.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if it's done before the end of this year. But we will see.
We will have to wait and see. Moving on to yet another IGN article written by Jordan Alleman, titled Sony Registered Trademark for Xbox Exclusive Sunset Overdrive. Reading from the article, it says, quote, "It looks like Sony has registered a trademark for the previously Xbox exclusive shooter Sunset Overdrive. Spotted by Nibel on Twitter, the trademark was registered at the US Patent and Trademark Office in late April. It doesn't confirm anything, but it's interesting given that Sunset Overdrive was initially exclusive to Xbox One upon its release in 2014. The game then came to PC in 2018 before Sony acquired Insomniac as a first-party PlayStation studio in 2019." End quote. I so hope this is just for like a PlayStation release. I hope this isn't Sunset Overdrive 2.
It would be, I never played the first one. Obviously, didn't have an Xbox, but I always heard it was a great game, and it always looked fun. So if it does get like remastered or something,
Yeah.
on PS5, that'd be cool. I'd definitely play it. And if a sequel did come out, that would also be cool. Because I know people have really wanted a sequel for that game. It would definitely suck, that Xbox fans wouldn't be able to play it, especially given that the first one was on Xbox initially. But I mean, Insomniac owns the IP, so like it goes where they go.
Yeah, like they're welcome to do whatever they want to it. Like I don't think a sequel will be bad. Like I would love a Sunset Overdrive sequel. I loved that game when it came out, but the issue I have with it is I would have to spend £350 or £450 to play it, and I'm not going to do that.
Yep. I completely understand. I imagine this is how like Bayonetta fans felt when Bayonetta 2 was announced as like, oh yeah, it's gonna be Nintendo exclusive. It was like, wait, what? Huh? That was a different case there. They weren't acquired. It was more like Nintendo was the only one that was gonna help make the game.
Yeah. So yeah, like I will be very happy if a sequel gets announced. I will be very unhappy that I won't be able to play it. And our final brief mention, reading from a Eurogamer article. No, I'm just kidding. It's IGN.
I was about to be like, did you change the link? Just clicked on it.
IGN article written by Kat Bailey saying, titled Xbox Series X/S getting 74 more games with FPS boost. Reading from the article saying, quote, Microsoft is giving an FPS boost to 70 more games on Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. They include fan favorites like Yakuza 6, Alien Isolation, and Metro Last Light, which will jump as high as 120 frames per second depending on the update. The new update brings the total number of games featuring an FPS boost on Xbox Series X/S to 97. Such enhancements have become a centerpiece of Xbox overall strategy, in marked contrast to PlayStation 5, which currently features FPS boost for previous releases, including Ghost of Tsushima and Genshin Impact, but otherwise hasn't focused much on a majority of major enhancements for older games. End quote. It's cool. I haven't looked at the whole list of like games getting, or of the 74 more games getting the FPS boost. I'm definitely not going to read it here because I'm not reading out 74 games.
I would have stopped you before you even got past. I would have been like, no, we're not doing this. You don't need to do this. They're happening. Go read the article if you want to find out.
Just mute Tyler. So here's the 74 games.
And they were like, all right, guys, I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
No, it's really cool that they're adding FPS boost to a bunch more games on Xbox. I'll be excited to see which games are getting it, so that I can see if any games I want to go back and play will get it. But Microsoft is continuing to kill it with backwards compatibility.
No, yeah, definitely. It's super cool. Seeing all these games get an FPS boost. It's interesting. I I really, this is just a me personal thing.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I don't need every game I play to be at 60 FPS
Yeah,
or 120
100%.
FPS. And it's
Yeah.
nice that they give the option for like to play it the original way. Because like a game like The Last of Us, for example, right? PS3 30 FPS. Although when you look at the like Digital Foundry stuff, like it had trouble hitting that. But regardless, 30 FPS was its limit.
Yeah.
Remastered, it's automatically a 60 FPS game. Although I think if I'm right, you can like change the performance and stuff and make it 30 FPS.
Mm.
And it's one of those things where it's like, would it 60 FPS? I think it's tough to go back to it being 30 FPS once you have started playing it in 60 FPS.
Yeah.
But playing in 60 FPS feels wrong and it looks weird. It gives off the like the soap opera effect a whole lot, at least for
Mhm.
me. Specifically, I guess when it comes to cutscenes, but I also gameplay to an extent, but mainly the cutscenes because they're also 60 FPS, so it just looks weird, and I'm just like, this is uncomfortable. I don't like this. I'm very content playing my games in 30 FPS. So like when I eventually get a Series X, I don't know if I'll end up playing a lot of these older games that have it.
Mm.
Um, I imagine some of them I'd probably just play it at 30 just because it'd be like, this is how I know the game. This is how the game feels good to me. Regardless, this is still very good for people who like to play the game, like who want to play their older games at higher frame rates, especially like more competitive ones like Battlefield and so on and so forth. Having the higher frame rates is definitely great there. So it's cool for them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure they're going to add more games very soon. So we'll
Oh,
have to
yeah.
wait and see what games get added next.
Yep.
Okay, that concludes our brief mentions for this episode. We are now going to move on to our main story. The first of which being all of the massive slew of news that has come out of the Apple versus Epic trial this week. First up being Microsoft says Xbox consoles have always been sold at a loss. Reading from a PC Mag article written by Matthew Humphries, saying, quote, "It's a well-known fact that when a new games console launches, it's typically sold at a loss, with hardware revisions and mass production ramping up. The costs fall and the console should eventually become profitable. However, that's never happened for an Xbox console, according to Microsoft. As Protocol reports, Xbox Business Development Vice President Lori Wright is a third-party witness in the Epic versus Apple trial. Epic's lawyer Wes Earnhardt asked Wright, how much margin does Microsoft earn when selling Xbox consoles? To which Wright responded, we don't, we sell the consoles at a loss, end quote. That's not surprising. I mean, I think it's like well-known knowledge that you don't make a profit on consoles, you make up the money in game sales and services and digital stuff and accessories. So this really doesn't come as a surprise to me.
Yeah, it doesn't come as it doesn't, but it also does for me to an extent. What doesn't come as a surprise is the fact that they sold their hardware at a loss. That's not a surprise to me. What is a surprise to me is the fact that they said that they've always been sold at a loss. Like there's never been a point where like their consoles were able to make them more money. So like I don't think the original Xbox never had a hardware revision, like in terms of like sizing and all like that. It was always a giant black one. Didn't. But like the 360, for example, you had the original white one, then you had the slim, you had the elite, then you had the black slim, and it was just those three, right?
You had the one that was meant to look like an Xbox One.
Wait, really? There was a black one that was like that?
Yeah. I forget the exact title of
that wasn't the elite, right? Or the slim?
Nope.
Huh. I did not remember that. Yeah, definitely put that in put a link to that in the doc or something, because I don't remember what that one looked like. But yeah, I imagine I figured that with the 360 at least at some point in time, they would have started making profits off of their hardware, with revisions and stuff like that. And even with maybe with like the Xbox One to a certain extent, like let's say the Xbox One S, right? Or even the Xbox One, the digital edition, the sad as people call it. Like even that one, I would have expected to become profitable or be profitable for them since it's smaller, less powerful.
Yeah.
You're taking components out of it. The Xbox One obviously was sold at a loss. The One X was definitely going to be sold at a loss. But so it surprised me that not a single one has ever been profitable.
Yeah. Also, I think you're right. There are. I just looked up all versions of Xbox 360, and it's only got 3. So I think you're right. But
yeah, that's what I
you
thought.
had the white one, then you had the Elite, then you had the Xbox One looking one.
Yeah, the black, the Slim is what it was called, the black one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I just always like referred to it as the Xbox One 360.
Nope, never that, never that. Especially since it came out years before the Xbox One was a thing.
I don't think so. You might be right.
I know it was because I saw people with the black one. That black one, I imagine, probably came out 2009 or 2010.
Yeah, no, the black, like slightly smaller one. The Slim.
Yeah,
It's been years since I've looked at this. I'm not super up to date in my Xbox 360 knowledge.
oh yeah, that one came out way before that, like long before Xbox One was a thing.
The Xbox 360e is the Xbox One looking one, which was announced at Microsoft's E3 press conference on June 10th, 2013.
Huh. I never heard of it. Let me see real quick.
Yeah, so the Xbox 360, the Xbox 360 Core, the Xbox 360 Elite, the Xbox 360 Arcade, and the Xbox 360e.
Xbox 360e. Clicking on it. I never heard of this thing.
Yeah,
okay. So I'm not I'm right in certain things, but I never heard of this. And how I never when was this announced at E3 2013?
Yep.
Perhaps this got caught up in all the nonsense of if you don't have internet, buy 360.
Yep. Oh, Don Matrick, you.
Yeah, he's like, hey, if you can't get the Xbox One, we got a 360 that looks just like it for you.
Yeah.
You could buy this. Wow. Yeah. Never knew about this. Didn't know it was a thing. Wow. Okay. Interesting. The more you know.
So yeah, I mean, I suppose it is somewhat of a surprise that even the original Xbox was sold at a loss, but I suppose it kind of makes sense because they're trying to break in to a market in which Sony already has Sony, Nintendo, Atari, Sega already have large footholds. Yeah. So I suppose it makes sense that they would sell that console at a loss so that they can make more sales and get more people involved in it. But at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because you always make up your losses in accessories, services, and games.
Yeah. No, again, that's why I didn't even say the original Xbox. That was the only model of it, so I knew for a fact that it was going to be sold at a loss. Unless I'm mistaken, and there's a secret second, third version of the original Xbox that I just don't know of or didn't remember. But that first model Xbox, I know for a fact it was definitely going to be sold at a loss. It was just not would it have been sold in a profitable format. Just because it was the only one, and also like you said back then, you're trying to break into the industry, break into the market, and all like that. So that makes sense.
So yeah, interesting Xbox news coming out of the Apple versus Epic trial, which we are going to touch a little bit more on after we talk about PlayStation's, I suppose, reason they allowed crossplay. Well, I guess you could call it. Reading from a Eurogame article, written by Wesley Yinpool, saying, quote, Epic boss says Sony charges publishers a crossplay fee in certain circumstances. Reading from the article, saying, quote, Epic boss Tim Sweeney has said that Sony requires compensation from publishers for crossplay in certain circumstances. In explosive comments made during the opening day of the Epic versus Apple trial, Sweeney said Epic agreed to the fees in order to get crossplay going in Fortnite. Sweeney says, quote, in certain circumstances, Epic will have to pay additional revenue to Sony. if somebody were primarily playing on PlayStation but paying on an iPhone, then this might trigger compensation. End quote. The Verge also reports that Sony's policy stipulates publishers can't transfer virtual currency to or from PlayStation, and there must be a setting to disable all cross-platform interactions. End quote. I'll throw it to you, Tyler. What were your thoughts on this?
Okay. Seriously, I mean, I read this. I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's the thing that happens. I don't think I'm necessarily surprised by it, because businesses are businesses and they're doing things to make money. Sony is market leader, so it makes sense that they would say. It makes sense that they were way more hesitant to do crossplay than other companies were back then. So them saying, hey, we need compensation from you in order for crossplay for this, it's not that surprising, especially this example here. I think this, like what Tim Sweeney said here, I think this might be the only way that they have to pay for crossplay on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Which is being, if someone plays on PlayStation, but they pay for something on iPhone, then Sony gets a cut of that. Like that, it is what it is. These are like behind the scenes things that, like, after this came out, I saw all these people saying, oh man, Sony sucks. I keep seeing people say this, and it's so annoying, not just for Sony, but as any company in general. They're so anti-consumer. They're not for the gamers, for the fans. It's just like, okay, like you guys, people throw out the word anti-consumer way too often for things that are like so menial and trivial that it's silly. It's so silly. These game companies are corporations. They are in it to make money. If they make you happy along the way, that is a plus. But their goal is always to make money. So, like, and on top of that, this is such a high level behind the scenes thing that doesn't necessarily, like, Epic paying Sony for crossplay does not necessarily directly affect you. You get what I mean? It's not like they said, if you, for the players, if you want to play this game that has crossplay, you need to pay like the crossplay fee or something like that. You get what I mean? Granted, that's like a super crazy example. That would never happen. But still, like, I don't think that this is something that's like anti-consumer, anti-gamer or anything like that. It just shows them saying it's just business. It is just business at the end of the day. I think what's really funny when you read the email, there's an email that went out, from this whole court case where someone from Sony was emailing Tim Sweeney and all. I believe it was Tim Sweeney. Over at Epic, and Epic, like, when they lead the email, they're like, kind of walk in there just like, swinging their stuff around. They're like, hey, like, we're not backing down on this. Like, this is our argument, and it's going to happen one way or the other. It's happening. You can either do this and we can make it look like the good guys, or you don't do it and we still get what we want eventually. It's gonna happen though, Sony.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And I was like, man, Fortnite made you guys super cocky. You guys had the biggest game in the world, and you're like, woo, we can do what we want. And I mean, granted, they did win. They got Fortnite to be crossplay across the board.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. And it's also like a bit tangentially related. From all these emails that came out from this court case, which if you have not been keeping up with this court case, I understand it's a lot to keep up with, but definitely like go back to like the beginning of the week and it's like read up on everything that's come out of this court case. It is fascinating. These behind the scene things that a lot of us have kind of assumed or figured as much is how things worked in the games industry, but now we're just actually getting confirmation of it and all. And it's like also seeing like, how certain deals are made and documents and stuff like that. It's really interesting and fascinating. But one email was that Microsoft was actually like hesitant to even do crossplay themselves. Like they were in public, they were putting on the facade, they were putting on the face of, we're all about crossplay. But behind the scenes, they were like, they actually hadn't even made a decision themselves. they weren't sure about whether or not they wanted to do it or anything like that. So and it's like back then, everyone was all against Sony on it, which I mean, again, put the pressure on them. It got them to do it eventually. But it's funny. So it's just really funny seeing how no one really wanted to do it. People were on the fence about it entirely up until it actually happening.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's just business. I don't think this is like a super shady move that Sony should be shunned for. Like, of course they're going to want to make sure that they still get money for something they didn't want to do in the first place. It's a business. The only thing the business cares about is making money so that the business can sustain itself. It's as simple as that. If they do that by charging Epic and potentially other developers / publishers a royalty fee for crossplay in the event that it loses, because of crossplay, it loses the money, sure, go for it. Like, I can't say I 100% agree with it, because I would like to live in a world with like 100% no strings attached crossplay, because in my opinion, it's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I'm not going to be like, oh, Sony, you're the worst company in the world. How are you so anti-consumer? Like, yeah. That's just in this scenario, that's just not who I want to be. Like, it's a business transaction. They want to cover their backs. They want to make sure that they're still making money. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people, the thing is, we only know that Epic pays Sony. We don't know if Sony requires other companies to pay them for crossplay. And when I think about it, a lot of the games that have crossplay are big games from big companies. Call of Duty, crossplay, that's from Activision. Activision has the money for it. Ubisoft, if I'm right, with The Division has crossplay, correct? I think it does. So
no idea.
I think it does. So Ubisoft has money. They can afford, to pay if you have to. Destiny has crossplay, correct? Or is it coming?
It's coming. It's not there yet.
Okay, so that's on the way. Now, granted, Bungie is independent, but Bungie also, they get a lot of money from microtransactions and stuff in that game. Bungie could afford to, pay it and all like that. So when it comes to like these bigger companies, if these bigger companies have to pay for the crossplay, it is not the end of the world. I guess I can understand people being a bit more concerned or annoyed if this is something that applies to all companies that want crossplay. So like even smaller games that would like to have crossplay but can't because they have to pay, then that would be like, a bit annoying. I could understand that.
Yeah.
But in this case, it really seems like Epic only has to pay if someone pays for something on a different platform. It doesn't seem like they have to pay for crossplay itself.
Yeah, I mean the information wasn't super specific, like the amount of money that changed hands, or like in the very specific scenarios that they would have to pay in if somebody were to do something that wasn't on PlayStation. But I mean, like you say, this really doesn't affect you or me in any way. It's one big company giving another big company money. Like, they can, I mean, judging from like the story that we're gonna go through from now, the one after the Xbox One, Epic can absolutely afford it, no question. So this really doesn't upset me. I think I'm with the rest of the community. The only way that this would upset me is if it was everyone across the board who wanted crossplay had to pay, exorbitant amounts of money. Like, the only one that comes to mind that I can think of is like Rocket League when it was smaller.
Yeah, but I mean, even when Rocket League got crossplay, it was already big at that point in time.
Yeah, exactly. So, people are blowing this way out of proportion, in my opinion.
I think so as well, especially because we don't know all the details behind, the crossplay situation on PlayStation and how it applies to all developers. We just know how it applies to this specific one, and this specific one is more than able to pay it.
Yeah, exactly. And also worth knowing that this specific one is fairly vague in the actual specifics of what that means.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that people are blowing out of proportion, reading from yet another IGN article written by Matt T.M. Kim, titled, "Here's Xbox's Analysis of The Last of Us Part 2. Reading from the article saying, quote, "The latest internal documents revealed in the Epic versus Apple court case appear to be from Xbox, including an internal analysis Xbox conducted of The Last of Us Part 2, one of the biggest video game releases from its console rival PlayStation. This analysis reads like a review and is the closest you'll get to see what Xbox thinks of PlayStation's major release." End quote. Reading a bit further down from the actual document, or from a quote from the actual document saying, quote, "The Last of Us Part 2 is the exceedingly rare video game where what it accomplishes in moving forward the art of narrative storytelling in video games as a medium ultimately outweighs whether or not everyone likes or even if everyone likes it or even if everyone has fun playing it." End quote. And then the article says Xbox writes in an internal analysis acquired by IGN from the Epic versus Apple court trial. Going on, it says Xbox praises The Last of Us Part 2's gameplay as, quote, "a notable improvement," end quote, over the first game, because the visual quality and attention to detail, quote, "absolutely best in class in basically every area, and the overall presentation is significantly ahead of anything that other teams have been producing on console and PC," end quote. One more quote from the document says, quote, the article says the internal team at Xbox says they, quote, "were frequently stunned by the quality of the game's visuals, something that sadly seldom happens these days," end quote. Now, there is, yes, okay, this is the part that everyone, in my opinion, is taking way out of proportion. The article says, furthermore, Xbox was critical of the gun combat, writing, quote, "Naughty Dog still can't seem to make a decent gun combat in any of their games, and this one is no exception," end quote. If everyone is taking this individual quote and sharing this and acting like Microsoft is insane because they criticize Naughty Dog, if you read, like, I haven't read the entire document. I've read many articles like this. The overall, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the overall,
like, consensus, feeling, thoughts.
Yeah, the overall feeling of the document is that The Last of Us 2 is a really good game, and Xbox really enjoyed playing it. Everyone is just taking that one, like, criticism part from the document and blowing that way out of proportion and sharing that everywhere and saying, "Oh, how could Xbox say this about Naughty Dog when they can't even make games themselves? Why? What gives them the right to criticize Naughty Dog?" And I'm like, if you read the entire thing, it's very positive.
I think it's two reasons. One, this is the only interesting part of their whole thing, to be honest. It's the only interesting part. Everything else is just like, it's a great game, which everyone knows is a great game. And it's Xbox acknowledging that, yeah, our games are nowhere near as good as these games, as like this game right here. I mean, take that for what you will. Arguable. I'm sure everyone considers arguable, but I think the argument is heavily in favor of The Last of Us Part 2 over any of the past Xbox One exclusives. I would find it very hard for anyone to argue against that. So yeah, this is the only interesting part of their whole review, I guess you could say. But also, it's a thing where in my head, I'm just like, really though? Like, the gun, they can't seem to make decent gun combat in any of their games. Like that the thing is, people are taking that and saying like, okay, now that's just a lie. That now, granted, of course, how you feel about gun combat and Naughty Dog games is up to you. You know, everyone feels about it very differently as they are. And I've definitely seen people critique Naughty Dog's gun combat in games over time. Like, I know when I think Uncharted 3 first came out, people had issues with the way it was. I think it was due to like the way the reticle was on the when you were shooting everything, it made it real difficult. So they eventually patched it and then it was better and all like that. But like their gun combat in the games, it's not stellar, but it's good. It works. It works, it feels good, and it works for what you need to do in the games. It's not terrible or bad, which is why Xbox saying, oh, they can't seem to make decent gun combat in any of the games. It's just like, Okay, that's not true. Like the gun combat is at the very least decent. It's not terrible. It's not bad. It's at the very least decent.
Yeah.
That's why we've seen a lot of people talking about this one specific part.
Yeah, and this document has been kind of like classed as like an internal review of The Last of Us Part 2 by Microsoft. And the thing that I think a lot of people forget about review, like all the time, is a review is an opinion. Like, sure, you can have like factual information in there, like, oh, it took this many hours to beat,
Yeah.
or it has this many collectibles, like factual things about the game. But the overall consensus of a review is it's an opinion. It's how you felt playing the game. That's why, because if a review was entirely based on facts, it didn't include anyone's opinion, thoughts, anything, it would get the same score everywhere. It's people's opinion that gives it different scores everywhere, which is why I'm going to take us off on a little tangent, which is why, like, I was thinking about this earlier this week. It's like, I have a friend who, if IGN gives a game a bad review, he won't play it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just such a bad way of looking at video game reviews.
Yeah.
Because, one, you should be looking at reviews from multiple different places. You shouldn't be focusing on one outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Two, he only watches the like video reviews. He doesn't go and read them. And I'm like, you get far more context in the written review than you do the video review.
Yeah.
Because the video review has to be like under a certain length, can only contain so many words, can only be so long.
Right.
Whereas a written review could be 2,500 words, and the video review could be 500.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I think a lot of the times people forget that a review is someone's opinion and is not the be all and end all of, oh, this makes this a bad game.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said, like, while I definitely don't agree with what they said,
yeah,
and I definitely think that it's a bit of an exaggeration to say the very least, it's definitely still their opinion. And I've seen many people over the years critique Naughty Dog's gun combat. So like Xbox critiquing it, it's not a surprise. I just don't agree with the fact that none of their games have had decent gun combat. I just think that's a bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah. And my final point, the world will be a very, very boring place if everyone just agreed with everyone all the time.
This is very true.
Moving on, apparently Fortnite made more than $9 billion in revenue in its first 2 years, which is an insane number. Reading from a Verge article written by Mitchell Clark, saying, quote, after a meteoric rise to popularity in 2018, Fortnite generated more than $5 billion in its first year for Epic Games, new financial documents reveal. The document made public as part of Epic's court battle with Apple over the latter's App Store practices shows that the game brought in more than $9 billion total for Epic in 2018 and 2019, end quote. It's an insane amount of money. Fortnite's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, like, battle royale / game in the world. So while it doesn't surprise me that they made a bunch of money, it certainly surprises me they made $9 billion in 2 years.
Yeah, like for me, I was reading the headline in the article. At first, I was like, really? Like that's when the game like first really made it hit big. Like 2018 is when they, if I'm right, is when they first added the battle royale, and then it kind of took off from there. So I'm like, really made that much money in those 2 years? Well, actually, no. The battle royale did not come in 2018. That's a lie. Came in 2017. I know that for a fact because the Infinity War crossover happened in 2018, and there's no way that they would have had the Infinity War crossover happen the same summer that Battle Royale came. So that's how I know. So a year or two in, like 1 to 2 years into Battle Royale's lifetime for Fortnite, I guess it's still surprising that it made so much money, but at the same time, it's like I just said, they had the Marvel event, the Infinity War crossover event happening, bringing people, attracting people to the game. That's when they start really selling all the the different emotes and the skins and everything. That's that's when the game really started to take off. So it makes a lot of sense that that's when they would just be getting all this money because the game is picking up a whole lot and getting a whole lot of attraction and audience and stuff like that. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a big game. It brings in a lot of people, has a lot of cool events, so it makes sense they made such a large amount of money. It's just very surprising and impressive that they made it in a very short span of time.
Yeah.
Next up, we have new potential Fortnite characters. Reading from another Eurogame article written by Tom Phillips, titled "Fortnite Planned Metroid Crossover Ariana and Lady Gaga Concerts." And title in the article says, quote, "A treasure trove of confidential Fortnite information has come to light as part of the Epic Games and Apple trial, revealing an unprecedented level of detail on cancelled or postponed events, collaborations, and in-game modes. One particular revealing document dating from June 2020 looks ahead to Fortnite's now concluded Bounty Hunter season, which ran from December 2020 to March this year, and reveals it once planned to include Nintendo's Samus alongside Xbox's Master Chief, PlayStation's Kratos. Many fans had wondered whether Nintendo would join in Fortnite's new series of gaming legend characters, which now also includes Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, Ryu and Chun-Li from Street Fighter, as well as Lara Croft. Epic's document suggests that this was indeed the plan as of last summer, but do not detail what happened next. Other planned characters due to appear in the Bounty Hunter season included Naruto Uzumaki, Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games, The Bride from Kill Bill, Snake Plissken from Escape from New York, and John McClane from Die Hard. None of these ultimately saw the light of day, though plenty of others did instead." End quote. They be crossing over with everyone. Like, everyone.
Yeah, like I'm not surprised that they were trying to get these characters, specifically Samus. I think what surprised me the most was Naruto. I'm like, wait, what? Huh? They were trying to get him in? If that happened, I swear to you, I probably would have jumped on Fortnite sooner than I did. I probably would have. I'm not even gonna lie. And it's like, hey, they possibly still could come at some point in time in the future, maybe. Because I mean, like the Aloy one dropped for this season, but I think maybe they try to have their characters for the seasons be like fit the theme. Although I don't know really how Raven fits the Primal theme for this season. Regardless, this is cool. It's interesting seeing like, people were clamoring like, oh man, if Sam is gonna jump in, that'd be a character from each of the first parties, and they were definitely trying to get Samus in. Didn't happen, unfortunately. But here's hoping it can happen in the future. I wonder who else we're gonna see join Fortnite. Like we have the conversations. Oh, who's gonna come to Smash? Who's coming to Fortnite? Because honestly, anybody could come to Fortnite now.
Yeah. I would love, like, this would absolutely get me to play if they get Naruto and Sasuke and have the first valley scene somewhere in the map with the Harashima and what's his name? Madara statues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would wow. That would be interesting if they brought both of them in and they did it like that, like for the trailer. Like you just have them both. Oh my, whew.
I'd like 100%. I would hop in Fortnite then.
Epic would get my money real hard.
Yeah. Well, kind of related question. Would you be Naruto or Sasuke?
Naruto.
Good. I would be Sasuke. Moving on. The Epic Game Store isn't expected to be profitable until 2024. Reading from a GamesIndustry.biz article written by James Batchelor, saying, quote, "The profitability of Epic Game Store has once again been brought into question as the antitrust trial between Epic and Apple kicks off. Following the company's opening statements, the proceedings primarily concentrated on examining Epic Games, its arguments, and its own business models, including the Epic Game Store. CEO Tim Sweeney gave testimony yesterday and confirmed that the store is hundreds of millions of dollars short of being profitable," the Washington Post reports. He attributed this to upfront costs and expects the stores will turn a profit within 3 or 4 years, end quote. I don't know if this is surprising or not. I mean, I I thought it might have been. I didn't think it was 100% guaranteed it would be, especially with the amount of free games they give out. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, given the amount of free games that they've been giving out and stuff like that, it is not that surprising that the store is not profitable right now.
Yeah.
Especially when you look, there was one court document that showed how much money they paid for like all the free games that they've given and stuff like that. And I think this article here talks about some of them. It says here, if you look farther down the article, it says here, one page revealed Epic paid for $146 million for 6 months exclusivity for the PC version of Borderlands 3. This included an $80 million minimum guarantee, $15 million marketing commitment, and $20 million non-recoupable fees, amounting to $115 million for just the game itself. However, the deal also included the addition of the Borderlands Handsome Collection, for which Epic paid $11 million, and Civilization 6 for $20 million, bringing the deal to the grand total of $146 million. So yeah, like that's just an example of how much money they paid for a game up front, for it to be given away for free.
Yeah.
Well, that's not for free, my bad, for the exclusivity. But then there's all the other games that they have on there in the document. I don't have the document in front of me right now. I'd have to like really dig to find it, because I did look at it earlier in the week. And when you look at it, it's just like it's understandable that they just be making losses on the Epic Game Store. And I think there was another document that came out in regards to all this as well that said, I believe that, don't quote me on this, I'm trying to remember the best I can, that I think only 7% of players on the Epic Game Store buy games. I believe that's what it said. So like a lot of people that are on the Epic Game Store, they get the free games and that's it. They don't actually buy any games on there. So I mean, look, Keiran's one of them. Yep. So like it is not surprising that they are losing money on the store for right now. And at the rate that they're going, trying to grow their store's user base and make it bigger and everything like that, it's understandable, I guess, and not surprising also that they'll just continue to be taking losses on it for another couple years. I imagine that because Epic is the company they are and they have the pockets of money that they do, I'd imagine that they won't like pull the plug on the store after, before they get to the point that it's profitable, because they definitely seem like they're in this for the long run, in it for the long haul, and they want to be like another key pillar of PC gaming, like Steam is, and like GOG. But I really wonder. Like, I don't think they would, but I wonder if they would eventually be like, we got to cut the cord on this. Like, we're taking too big a loss on this.
Yeah. If it comes to it, they will. I don't think it'll come to it. I think they will be able to. If they implement features that people want and make sure that their security is good enough, then people will come. So do that, your store will become profitable. If not, eventually I think they're going to have to cut the cord.
Yeah.
A little side note, I would be very interested to see that document on like how much they paid for each free game, because that might give me some idea as to what Microsoft pays for games for Game Pass.
Go on. I believe Daniel Lamad has been he's been talking about it over on Twitter. His Twitter is at ZHugeEX, if I believe is how it's spelled. But throughout the week, he's been talking about the trial and retweeting people's posts and like giving his own threads. Because Daniel Lamad, for those who don't know, he's an industry analyst. So if you're definitely interested in like the business side of things, definitely give him a follow, because his threads are very insightful about the hows and the whys as to business decisions that companies make and all like that. So I think he talked about. I think he might have the picture of the document, or he might have like retweeted someone's post about it. But
Yeah.
there was one. Like there have been some Microsoft documents that came out, showing uh profitability for Xbox and all like that, and like it it didn't show profitability for Microsoft because Microsoft had like a bunch of their stuff heavily redacted.
Yeah.
And there was one page that was a graph showing like the top like profitable companies in the industry for like a certain year. I forgot what year it was. It might have been like 2-3 years ago. And Microsoft's was they had like redacted how much money theirs was, but it was under two. It was between 2.3 and like 1.8, if I'm right, on this graph.
Okay.
But there was another document that I think they were the one above, one in front of them was Nintendo, if I'm correct. There was another document that had all the companies that were profitable, like their profitability and stuff,
Yeah.
except that one was not redacted. So if you connect the dots, which I believe Daniel Lamont did, if you connect the dots, you could see that year Microsoft's profitability was like $2.2 billion. That's not Game Pass. That's just like a window into
Yeah.
like, I believe like Microsoft. I don't know if it was Microsoft as a whole or Xbox's profitability for that year.
Yeah.
But it's like a window into it. And again, I think also this week it came out that Game Pass, as of right now, is not profitable. I think either it's not profitable or they're taking losses on it. Don't quote me on this, but I know that Tom Warren over at The Verge, he had put up a tweet about all this. I think retweeting someone's post or something, basically saying that like, yeah, Game Pass is not profitable right now. It's not, plain and simple,
Yeah.
because of information that came from Microsoft's documents and all like that throughout this court case. It has been very, very fascinating, and it is definitely something that if you are at all interested in the inner workings of the industry and the business side of things, definitely do some research on this trial. Go back to the beginning of this week and just read the news that's come out about it. Go follow Daniel Lamont on Twitter, because he's been tweeting people's things and putting his threads up and stuff about all the information that's come out from this trial. I believe Tom Warren from The Verge, like I said, is another one who's been tweeting stuff. I believe Rebecca Valentine from IGN, she's been tweeting and stuff about like tweeting whole threads each day about the trial. There's someone else who was tweeting like play-by-plays. I don't follow them. I forgot what their Twitter is, but I believe like Tom and Rebecca have like retweeted that person as well.
Yeah.
Go read all this stuff. It is absolutely fascinating. Some of it is legal speak in there, like legal mumbo jumbo and stuff. But like reading the actual play-by-plays and seeing the documents and so on and so forth, it's a lot. It's very fascinating. And like we're getting into it here, but like we're also kind of only like scratching the surface of some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's also like there are other things like that came out from this trial that like we didn't really talk about here. Like I said, the whole Microsoft document and stuff with the profitability and the Game Pass and all that stuff.
Yeah.
A whole lot of other stuff has come out of this. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to go back and look into those documents you just mentioned, because I'm very curious to see, more so to see if I can put together like a vague idea of how much Microsoft pays for like games free on Game Pass, but that's a whole different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And our final news story from the Apple versus Epic lawsuit is that Walmart apparently has planned a cloud gaming service, which is something that I didn't expect to see.
Yeah.
Reading from an article from The Verge written by Tom Warren saying, quote, Walmart's unannounced cloud gaming service, codenamed Project Storm, has been detailed in new confidential emails. An exhibit in the Epic Games versus Apple trial reveals that Walmart's efforts to pitch its cloud gaming service to Epic Games and get Fortnite on board. A quote from the article says, quote, "I played Walmart's demo on an Android phone with an Xbox controller, and the experience was like playing on a PS4 and superior to playing on an Android or iOS device," end quote, said Epic Games co-founder Mark Rain in an email thread from April 2019. Rain also excitedly shares a photo of a game clip with the rest of Epic Games' executive team, showing how Walmart was planning to sell this in their stores to let a phone attach to the controller. Saying, quote, "They're going to sell the clip for a crazy low amount. They were saying something like $2, said Ryan," end quote. This is very interesting. I'm another person trying to get into the game cloud streaming software. Didn't expect the next person to be Walmart.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't have expected it either. I don't know. I wonder if this will see the light of day. Because I'm reading it further down in the article here, and there's a part where it says the beta period was originally set to be launching in July of 2019. So this is old documents, old plans. It's who's to say if they're still going on with it. It's possible that they scrap these ideas. They're not not trying to do it anymore. Especially given seeing Google Stadia kind of come out after this was being worked on, and then just kind of crash and burn in a sense. And then you have Amazon with Amazon Luna, which it's kind of start taking off, kind of getting off the ground, I guess you could say. But xCloud really just dominating in terms of the game streaming and stuff. I think there's Nvidia has their own game streaming
Nvidia
stuff as well.
Now. Well, GeForce Now
so
is the name of it.
I wonder if they so I wonder if Walmart saw the landscape and said, you know what, we're just not even going to bother. We're going to tap out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if we don't see it in the next couple of years, I think we can assume that it's been abandoned. But it'd be very interesting to see if it came out, what it would be like and how it would compare to GeForce Now, Amazon Luna, xCloud. Don't think Stadia is going to be around in that time.
Yeah.
That will conclude all of the Apple versus Epic news we have for this week. Like Tyler said, there is a bunch more news that has come out of this trial, but I just went through and kind of handpicked some of the ones that I thought were the most interesting. So if you want to go and read up on everything that's been announced, I'm sure there are articles out there that you can find that have everything, or like Tyler said, go and follow some people on Twitter that have been retweeting a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, they definitely all have way more insight on it than either of us do, and they have the play-by-plays, the breakdowns, and all like that. It's very, very fascinating, insightful stuff. It giving you a peek behind the curtain on things that are very secretive in the industry that you normally don't hear about. Yeah.
Now, moving on to our next story. Sony is facing a lawsuit over the PlayStation Store digital sales exclusivity. I'm reading from an IGN article written by Matt Perslow, saying, quote, "Sony is facing a lawsuit that claims it is operating an unlawful monopoly by restricting purchases of PlayStation games to the PlayStation Store. As detailed by a Bloomberg report, the class action lawsuit filed by consumers notes that by restricting digital purchases to the official PlayStation Store, Sony Interactive Entertainment are able to charge up to 175% higher than physical games sold by retailers both online and in-store. With modern games like Returnal commanding $70, you can see why people are trying to find the best deals on their games. Those who want to remain digital, however, are restricted to what Sony charges on the PlayStation Store." A quote from this article says, quote, "Sony's monopoly allows it to charge super competitive prices for digital PlayStation games, which are significantly higher than their physical counterparts sold in a competitive retail market, and significantly higher than they would be in a competitive retail market for digital games," end quote, explains the lawsuit. Sony stopped allowing third-party retailers such as Amazon from selling digital download codes for PlayStation games back in 2019. Nintendo has also done a similar thing, suspending European retailers from selling first-party digital game codes, end quote. I mean, I can see why they're doing it. They want more people to be buying games on their platform so that they are making more money. I do think that it's not necessarily anti-consumer or shady, but I do think it's maybe not the best move they could be making.
Is it bad that I have no feelings about this at all? Like, I honestly
No?
think this is going to go nowhere.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because the article here, you go a bit farther down. I forgot about this here. Sony stopped allowing third-party retailers, such as Amazon, from selling digital download codes for PlayStation games back in 2019. Nintendo has also done a similar thing, suspending European retailers from selling first-party digital game codes. So I forgot about both of those things because I didn't remember that digital codes could originally be bought online somewhere. I'm guessing that Microsoft still allows this since Microsoft's not listed
They
here.
do.
Okay. And with those digital codes, are they typically for less money than the game actually is? So say for example, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. If you want to get a digital code for it, right, for Xbox, the game is $60. If I want to get a digital code for it on Amazon, is it possible, or is it like typical to see it for, let's say, $45 to $40? Valhalla might be a bad example because the game's somewhat more recent, but you get what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say. Give me a second, because I know of one retailer in the UK that like sells quite a few digital codes for games. I don't know if it's necessarily always cheaper. I think it's usually cheaper than what the like platform holders are asking for on their stores, because I mean I don't know if it's the same for disc, but I know or the code, but I know that like I say, on the Xbox store, I would be £54 or £55 to buy Village, and I just bought it for £40 on disc from Tesco.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that also translates to game codes. I'm very quickly looking just for a random game.
Yeah. Because I saw this headline the other day and I was just like, why? What? Really? I don't see why this is I don't see why this is such a big deal that the only place to get the games digitally is the PlayStation Store. Like there I don't know. I really have no feelings about this. I honestly think that this class action lawsuit is not going to go anywhere. I think it's a bit just it's kind of piggybacking. I don't want to say piggybacking, but kind of like jumping on the back of the Apple Epic thing that's going on right now. And I think because of that, that's why it's like, I think because of that and the fact that some PlayStation games are now like going to be up to $70. I think that is part of why this is coming up now and not like, when this first happened, when they first started making it so that you could only get the digital things from the PlayStation Store. But I honestly, I think this is silly. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think this is really stupid.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you for the most part. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, because if worst comes to worst, just buy it on disc, because you will most likely be cheaper than buying it either through a digital code or digital credit, or just buying it from PlayStation or Xbox's store.
Exactly. Because that's the thing. That's what I was going to say. When you buy something physically, you can physically give that back in and all like that. So it's like, it makes sense that you can get something for cheaper physically than digitally. But a digital code, you can't resell a digital code.
Nope.
Like if I get a game digitally, as of right now, there's no way to return that and then say, okay, you can someone else gets a used digital. Like, what is a used digital code? There is no such thing as a used digital code.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a code for the game. I guess Yeah, no, there's just no such thing as a used digital code. So whenever you get a digital code, it's basically like a brand new version of the game in
Yep.
essence. So yes, it makes sense that Sony would say, well, if that's the case, you're just gonna buy them from us. Like it's just very silly. I think used physical games, I think is different from used digital. Used physical, the physical disc has been used, has been opened. You know,
Yep.
the disc could be in it is possibly in worse condition than it was when it was brand new. So it's understandable that that will be charged, that you can charge less for that than you can for a digital version of a game, which cannot be affected in any way, shape, or form. Like, that's why I think this is so silly.
Yeah. So if I want to buy a digital code for a Way Out, the like two-player
Yeah.
prison game, from Argos in the UK, it's $24.99, and it is, well, it's the same price on Xbox, but it's actually cheaper for me with EA Play. It's $22.49, so it's £2 cheaper. Whoop-de-doo. But yeah, like, it depends on the game. It depends how long the game's been out for. Depends who's developed it. Depends who the publisher is. There's so many factors that go into how much a game costs that this isn't going to go anywhere. This isn't going to change anything. This is, like you say, just piggybacking off of the Apple versus Epic lawsuit. Because exactly your point. If it was to actually resolve the issue, why wasn't it put out 2 years ago when they stopped people selling digital codes?
Yeah. And it's like, this is not the exact same thing as the Apple Epic thing,
No.
but like it's in the same realm in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's also in the same realm as the Valve story we talked about earlier with their like monopoly on. Although that's different because as far as I can gather, in that lawsuit, they're protesting that Valve is like the biggest seller of PC games digitally that there is, and they charge 30%
Yeah.
for like for someone to sell their game on there. I think that's more what the Valve one is about. But yeah, couldn't agree more. This isn't going to go anywhere. This is kind of stupid. Sticking in the realm of PlayStation for our final news story of the week, PlayStation has announced a partnership with Discord, which I find very, very interesting. Reading from a final IGN article written by Matt T.M. Kim, titled PlayStation Acquires Minority Interest in Discord Following Microsoft's Buyout Interest. And reading from the article, saying, quote, PlayStation has announced it has made a minority investment into Discord as a way to build a relationship between the popular online chat service and Sony. Jim Ryan, president and CEO of PlayStation, announced the partnership in a short blog post. Aside from disclosing its minority stake, not a lot of other details were shared. Sony says it has taken its minority stake in Discord's Series H round, and that PlayStation has spoken with Discord and co-founders Jason Citron and Stan Wisniewski on ways to bring friends and communities together. A quote from Jim Ryan says, quote, empowering players to create communities and enjoy shared gaming experiences is at the heart of what we do. So we are beyond excited to start this journey with one of the world's most popular communication services, end quote. This is very interesting. I'm very surprised that Microsoft didn't at least get a stake in Discord. If they were offering $10 billion to buy them, when the buying fell through, why would you not just offer a partial shareholder kind of a thing? But the talks with Microsoft could have fallen through because PlayStation acquired a minority investment, and then it would be a conflict of interest. So
yeah, I didn't think about that because, again, I'm not a business person. I don't know the business side of things and all like that. But when I saw this headline earlier in the week, I was like, oh wow. I was like, what?
yeah,
I was like, wasn't it just a few weeks ago that you all were talking with Microsoft about being acquired? And now it's like, no, we're not going to do that, but we're going to partner with PlayStation. I was very surprised to see that news. And I imagine that I would not be surprised if this played a part in why they backed out the talks from Microsoft. But again, just like I said, everything I said in that when Microsoft was possibly looking to acquire them, the same thoughts are now. Good for the company, good for both of them,
Yep.
and I'm just excited at the potential of what Discord integration with PlayStation will look like. They said in the blog post that Jim Ryan had put out and everything, he had said that they're looking to have Discord be integrated by the start of next year, early 2022. So
Yeah.
we don't know. We don't have any specific details about what Discord PlayStation integration will look like. It will be some time before we get those details, I imagine. I would not be surprised if we don't see. I think the earliest we could probably get details about it would be maybe E3 time, but even then, I think that's too soon. I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah.
We'll probably get details closer to the end of the year as we actually get close to the date that that the integration is going to start happening. But it's cool, it's exciting, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what comes of this deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, like you said, everything that I said about the acquisition by Microsoft a few weeks ago still kind of applies here. Like, I'm very curious to see how exactly they're going to integrate it with PlayStation. They're definitely going to be getting I imagine the Discord app on PlayStation is what he means by integration early next year. So, I mean, honestly, that's kind of all I have to say about it. Fairly short news story. It's not super important. I wouldn't say it's like a super colossal thing of news that everyone needs to know about, but it's very interesting, and I'm definitely intrigued to see what comes out of this and how they integrate it into PlayStation.
Yeah, it's gonna, and I imagine it'll definitely make crossplay easier.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That it'll be, again, because we have no real details about it. There's not too much to say about it, but
yeah,
crossplay will definitely benefit from Discord being on the platform. That it's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes of this.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, finally, this is probably the section I'm most excited for out of this episode. We are going to be talking about what we've been playing. We each have one game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to kick it off? Or do you want me to?
I want you to kick it off because I'm interested to hear about this. Because I mean, I have enough to say about mine, but I'm not gonna get too in depth about it. I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to hear from you about your game here.
Okay, so as I mentioned a little while ago, yesterday I picked up Resident Evil Village. I knew I was gonna get this game before it launched. Well, like, I knew I was going to get it before launch, but I didn't know when.
Yes.
But like I said, I got a really good deal on it in Tesco yesterday, so I was like, screw it, yeah, I'm just going to get it just now and play it. Little side note, I haven't played 7. I know that the story of 7 and 8 kind of intertwines in places, but when you start up Village, they do have a do you want to recap the story of 7 like video, so I watched that. I still intend to play 7. I'll go back and play it when I finish Village, but
do you think it did a good job getting you up to speed?
Sure. I mean, I don't I don't think I can really answer that because I don't know all of the story points in 7 because I haven't played it. So I don't know if that covered everything, if it covered just the extreme basic stuff. No idea.
Yeah.
I feel fairly caught up.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I guess like when you started 8, did you feel like, all right, I understand the basics of what I need to know for this game?
Yeah, like I understand who the characters are, kind of.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, it's not going to give you all the ins and outs of everything from 7.
No.
Like, just to catch up to speed. Like, this is Ethan. This is his wife Mia. This is what happened in the swamps in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Lots of crazy stuff happened. They were traumatized, and here we are.
Yeah. So I'm about 4.5 hours into Village.
Okay.
I did look up on how long to beat for Village, and it says if you're just doing the story, then about 8.5 hours. If you're doing a little bit more stuff, then about 10. So I probably have anywhere between 4.5 and 6 hours left, depending on how fast I get through it.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm really enjoying it.
Okay.
I'm not a hot. Okay. I really wasn't enjoying the first like 20 minutes because that's when I was messaging you yesterday, and I'm like, I really regret buying this game because like my lights are on and it's pretty late at night. They're not going off anytime soon. But after the first like 20 minutes, I kind of like eased into it, and I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. The story's very intriguing so far. I'm definitely hooked. I'm trying so hard to like tiptoe around like spoilery stuff because I don't want to, because like it came out yesterday. You intend to play it at some point. I'm definitely not going to be getting into like exactly what I'm doing, what I have done, anything like that.
Yeah.
I will say just I have met Lady Dimitrescu.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please give me all of her all the time. She can step on me any day.
Oh my gosh.
It's spooky. I'm like there has only been one point so far that that made me like scream and put my controller down. Which was about like an hour and a half before we started recording because I played about an hour of it earlier on.
Yeah.
Because I am currently doing.
I feel like you can. I feel like maybe you could say like location because it's not like necessarily a spoiler that there's multiple there's multiple villains in the game that all work for that work together and all like this. I know that much that like each character, each of the main villains has like their own little area that they kind of rule over and stuff. So you kind of interact with each one of them and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I am currently in the dollhouse.
I know of that character. And I've heard that they are very creepy.
Yeah. The three things that I'm like nope in for a horror game are things rocking by themselves, especially rocking horses, rocking chairs and cribs, little children, and dolls.
Okay.
Nope, no thank you. None of that. Don't want any. But I am powering through. I'm paused right on the bit that made me scream because I had to go and start preparing the dock. I am not looking forward to starting this game again.
Oh man.
I don't want any of it. I don't want any of what's happening right now.
Oh man.
There have been a couple of points in the game that have made me gone like, what the hell just happened?
Mm-hmm.
Which I won't get into, but no, really enjoying Village so far. Very glad that I bought it. I will definitely be finishing this game. I reckon I'll have it finished by Monday.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to take me much longer. I mean, to be fair, I think I'm probably going to have this finished by tomorrow night.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing, your finished thoughts on it. So I wonder, do you think, are you happy you played this without playing the demo?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Because I'll tell you what parts the demo did. Again, not a spoiler here.
I think I've done one of them where you're in like tall grass with lichens like roaming
You've done
about.
both of them. You've done both for sure. Because the demo bits were both from the beginning of the game. So the first the village demo, it's when you see the old lady and she's she's saying something to you, and then she's like, the bells ring and she walks out behind her gate and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you meet the daughter and her dad.
Yep.
It's that part. Like you meet the daughter and her dad, and then that goes down. That goes down. Yeah. And then the village demo ends when you open after you put the thing into the gate to go towards the castle. That's when that demo ends.
Okay, got you.
So playing that bit, what do you think about that bit? Did you get what I mean when I said like it was like the tall grass and it's like, oh my gosh,
nope, none of that. Yeah, nope, don't want any more of that. No thanks.
Yeah, like I loved it. It was scary, but I loved it. Yeah,
like yeah, like I'm like, nope, don't want any more of that for like this scary part. But overall, I felt like that was a really good scene to lead up to the.
So what do you think about like the village itself, and like is it how creepy is it? What do you feel about the village? Like tell me your thoughts about like the actual village itself and the environments, and like how does it make you feel? How creepy is it? So on and so forth. Like I want to know these details. That's what the people want to know.
So I am a huge baby when it comes to horror stuff. So like every single time I open a door, every single time I turn around, like I'm like checking corners, ceiling, floor, everywhere for something that can jump out at me because it's creepy as hell. I'm
Ooh, question.
On one hand, I'm really.
Are you playing with headphones on? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I use my monitor and it doesn't have speakers, so I have to have headphones on.
Got you.
Like I'm really loving the game. It definitely feels like a Resident Evil game. I don't have a huge amount of experience with them, but from what I've played of Resident Evil, which is the 2 reboot, it feels like that. It feels like the same kind of vibe, but in first person rather than third person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely creepy. I'm definitely enjoying it. It's a very pretty game, but the village and the castle and where I am now are all creepy as hell. I don't like it. No.
No. What about like the gameplay? Because I know that this game, it's more, I don't want to say more actiony than 7 or anything, but it takes heavy inspiration from Resident Evil 4, which brought a lot more action to the Resident Evil franchise. So like, whereas Resident Evil 2 remake, let me use that as an example. Like, that game is definitely more of a, I don't want to say slow burn type of game, but it's more of a more of a horror type game as opposed to more an action type game. Whereas when 4 came out, it still had the survival horror there, but there was way more action to it. Do you think that this game, does it feel more actiony than horror-y? Does it feel like it has like a nice blend of the two? Because I know in this game they added they gave you more combat options, so you have like aside from the block, you can like counter enemies and push them back, and all. Then you have the crafting system and everything like that. So yeah, what do you think? How does it feel for you?
Yeah, it's definitely more actiony than Resident Evil 2 was, because Resident Evil 2, it was like walking around, cutscene, walking around. Mr. X shows up, walking around, cutscene. This is like walking around, Lady Dimitrescu shows up and stalks you. Then like you might have like a cutscene, then you'll have like an action scene where you're running through a really tight corridor, being chased by something, or running to something, or running after something. It's definitely more actiony than Resident Evil 2 was. From what I have seen of Biohazard, I've seen a little bit of that game just because a lot of my Twitch friends have played it. It looks similar to that, where you have like different, like you can be slowly walking around, you can be running after something, you can have a cutscene, you can have whatever. I will say that Lady Dimitrescu is more scary than Mr. X in my opinion.
Okay.
Because like Mr. X like would just follow you around. He's a big hulking
yeah.
Like, but Lady Dimitrescu has these like scythes on her hand.
Yeah.
That instill another level of terror in me. So yeah, definitely feels more actiony. Definitely feels. It still has that horror vibe. It still has this something is a way to happen at any point kind of vibe to it, which is why like every single time I open a door, corners, floor, ceiling.
Yeah.
Like that's that, or well, corners, floor, ceiling, behind, and then I walk in while looking behind me because I'm terrified that someone's gonna just come from behind me, pick me up. But no, it definitely has a good mix of horror scenes, action scenes, and then just chill walking. Well, I say chill, as chill as can be, walking around vibes.
Yeah, like real tense and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And the story, you said it's intriguing. It's got you interested and all.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. There have been a couple of things that I wasn't expecting to happen. There's one thing that I still can't really wrap my head around how that makes sense, but I'm going with it. So yeah, no, like definitely this game is very quickly turning me into a Resident Evil fan.
Ooh.
Like to the point where I have thought multiple times during my playthrough of Village so far that I am going to go back and play the older Resident Evil games.
Oh man, like 1, 2. Well, aside from
Yep, one, yeah,
like 1, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
That'll be interesting, especially because 1 plays very differently.
Yeah.
1 is so different, and then you have the 3 remake, which plays more like 2 remake, and then you have 4, which is kind of like the granddaddy of like modern day Resident Evil, not the first person ones. And then 5, like 4, which then led to what 5 became, which then led to what 6 was, which was like the possibly the least like. It'll be interesting if you actually do that.
Yeah, I think if I do that, I'm gonna play 1, then I'll probably replay 2.
Yeah.
And then I'll play 3 reboot. And then there's meant to be a 4 reboot that's like rumored just now but not confirmed. It was in that Capcom leak.
Yeah. So that's not coming for at least another year or 2, I think. I think 2 years. So, if anything, play the original Resident Evil 4. It's definitely almost
Probably,
everywhere.
yeah.
Play the original Resident Evil 4, and then when the remake comes out, you have like a frame of reference for it.
Yeah. But no, closing thoughts. This game is horrifying. I hate it. Please stop making me sleep with my lights on.
Ooh, graphically, 'cause I know it looks great. I haven't watched like Digital Foundry's analysis and all like that, but I know just from me playing on my PS5, I know it looks like amazing. It looks gorgeous. But I mean, I only saw like the village area and a bit of the castle. So for you, like you've seen more areas, you've seen more people and all like that.
Yeah.
Like graphically, sound wise, and all, like how is it?
Graphically, it's very good. I'm really liking the overall look of the game, especially in Castle Dimitrescu.
The castle looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is. There's a part, I don't know if you would have played this in the demo, but there's like a room with a staircase that goes around, and there's a wine room at the top.
Yeah, that was in both the last demo and in the maiden demo. The maiden demo has you start in the dungeon, in like one of the cages in the dungeon, and then work your way up. And then when you're about to walk out, not the very front door of the castle that like leads to where like the Duke's room is and all.
Yeah.
But that same room with the staircase, but that back room. There's a back room there that has a door that leads outside. When you go out that door, that's where the maiden demo ends. And the most recent castle demo, it has you start when you walk into the castle. No. It has you wake up inside a room in her castle, which I'm pretty sure is the same room that we've seen in the cutscenes where like she walks over him and like the daughters are around and stuff. You wake up in that room, you walk out into it's like, I guess, main foyer or whatever, and like these pedestals come up. You meet the Duke, and then you go up the stairs and you kind of work your way down into the dungeon because one of the daughters is chasing you. You work your way into the dungeon. You get through the dungeon and all like that. And then after you get out the dungeon, like the daughter, she catches you, and that's where that demo ends.
Okay.
So I walked all around like that castle area that like the new spaces in the castle area that I could see. And also, that's what I've seen of it.
Yeah, so I was going to say, you know where the 4 angel statues are at the bottom of the stairs?
Yes.
When you go up those stairs and you have the stairs that curve up and like to the second floor, I haven't played Resident Evil 1, but I've seen like the thumbnail for
the Spencer Mansion.
For like, that like really reminded me of that thumbnail.
A lot of people have said that.
Yeah. But no, graphically this game is very good. I'm playing with ray tracing on. So it's very, very pretty. I haven't noticed any like frame rate dips or freezes. It's never crashed or anything like that. It's playing very well. What was the other thing?
Like, I think I said audio and all. Like, how's that?
Scary as hell. Highly highly recommend playing with headphones on. But like by far the most terrifying thing is like being somewhere in the castle and hearing Lady Dimitrescu's footsteps somewhere.
Oh no.
No idea where, no idea from which direction. I can just hear them and I'm like, just stay perfectly still. She can't find me if I stay perfectly still. Like, the most typically me thing happened. I was going down a set of stairs and I heard her footsteps and I stayed perfectly still so she wouldn't find me. And of course she would come up the staircase that I'm standing on.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, come on, really? Like, you couldn't have just gone the other staircase? But
wow.
like, it's I'm really, really enjoying it so far. I hate how scary it is because I'm a big baby. I'm going to continue playing it. Very looking forward to finishing this game. The last thing I'll say is the part I'm at now, by far the scariest that I've encountered so far.
Okay, because you said you're in like the dollhouse area, right?
Yeah, purely because of what's coming after me.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it after I do my what I have to do with Returnal. I think I'm gonna go through 7 because I have it downloaded on the system. So I think I'm gonna go through 7, and then after I do that, I'll do Village because I really want to play Village.
Yeah, it's really good. Very glad I bought it. Like I say, it's definitely turning me into a Resident Evil fan.
Nice. Very happy to hear that. Looking forward to hearing your final thoughts once you finish the game.
So what have you been playing this week, Tyler?
Well, perfect segue. Like I mentioned Returnal. I've been playing Returnal I got it last week, and I said last week that I was going to do a preview for it, and that was going to be my video that went up yesterday as of recording. Obviously, that didn't happen. Reason being, I beat Returnal. I beat Returnal in 2 days, and there's no point in doing a preview when you beat a game. So the preview is now going to be a review, and due to I would not have had the time to write a review and edit the video and all, given, work and everything, I would not have had the time to do it. So the preview, the review is now I'm planning to have that out Wednesday. So 2 days after this podcast goes live, the video review should be up on YouTube. If it's not, then it is because, yet again, delays, and it'll just come the following week. Returnal. Wow. Wow, what a game. I'm not going to get too in-depth with my thoughts because, again, I'm doing the review. I don't want to say everything now that I'm going to be saying the exact in the review. That was kind of be repeating myself. But man, oh man, is this an amazing game. This is a great game here. Now, I don't play roguelikes. I've never really played a roguelike before. The concept of them is interesting, but it's just never really appealed to me. Going on a run and then dying and losing all your progress and having to restart from scratch and having everything be randomized and all like that. It's never really appealed to me, especially because a lot of roguelikes, they're very difficult to say the least for most of them. They have a reputation of being very challenging and all like that. But I was like, you know what? I want to give Returnal a chance because, like I said last week, I want to be more familiar with PlayStation's first party, their lineup for this generation. And the game seemed genuinely interesting. So for those who don't know, Returnal, you play as this astronaut named Celine, crash lands on this planet, and she's stuck in a time loop. Every time she dies, she wakes back up at the site of the crash, at when she first crashed on the planet Atropos. And you're really all about trying to understand the mystery of the planet and trying to find your way off the planet. That's the whole crux of the story. That's the narrative push and all. And let me say this, the game starts and you... No, let me rephrase all this. Let me start this conversation off by saying this game is difficult. It is a challenging game. And a lot of conversation has been around how difficult this game is. And a lot of people have been saying, man, this game is so hard. It's too hard. As I said, I beat it over the weekend. I beat it in 2 days. I only died 3 times. And one of those times is the first mandatory death that you have at the start.
Yeah.
Of the game. Like, because it's one of those things where like in a Souls game, you're going and then you come across an enemy that clearly you cannot beat. It's going to kill you. And like, so like I came across an enemy that killed me in like 3 hits and then title screen. So it's like, okay, this is the first mandatory death that has to happen. So I'm not trying to brag or anything, because the game, because it is a roguelike, how difficult the game is based on luck, like how lucky you are in terms of what items you get, and how difficult you make the game for yourself. Because there are things in the game, they're like parasites in the game, and also other things that can give you malfunctions on your suit, which basically it gives you a debuff that you have to fulfill a condition to get rid of, right? And some of these debuffs are pretty painful, and some of the conditions are not easily like fulfilled. Like, for example, one debuff might be that whenever you here's a debuff. One debuff might be you take damage whenever you overload your weapon, right? And overloading your weapon is like when it runs out of ammo. It has to like basically recharge and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you run out of ammo, you take damage. That's a pretty painful debuff to have since you're shooting all the time. So like you can try and avoid it by like stopping and letting your weapon reload before it actually runs out of ammo. But that's not easy to do. So like a requirement to get rid of that might be to open a chest. Okay. Now, chests appear like there's typically a chest in most rooms, but not all the chests can be opened so easily. Some of them require a key to open. If you don't have a key, you can't open the chest. Some of them don't need a key. So you just open it just fine. Boom. Easy to take care of. But some of them you need to open, and you can open them without a key, but they have something called malignancy on them, which basically means essentially saying that like the chest is covered in like, I'm going to say darkness, for example. And basically if you have a medium, high, or very high chance of getting a malfunction on your suit by opening the chest because of the malignancy. So it's like, all right, I have this malfunction. I have to open a chest to get rid of the malfunction. I could open this one, but there's a chance I might get another debuff by opening this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And like the chests that have malignancy on them, you can cleanse them if you have enough of this item called an ether. If you have enough of it, you can cleanse it. But ether is rare to come by, and you use your ether for other things. So it's like, do I want to use the ether to cleanse this so I can open the chest and get rid of this malfunction, or do I want to save it and not open the chest, or do I save it and just take a chance on getting another debuff? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the risk and reward there, which I know is inherent to roguelikes, it's so much fun. Like I like that risk and reward. And a lot of the time in the game, I didn't take the chance. I only took the chance on like opening malignant things or using malignant items if the chance was moderate, or if I had a feeling like, you know what, I got a good feeling about this. Sometimes that didn't work out for me, but like it's just so much fun. And there are things like parasites that give you a buff but also give you a debuff. Yeah, and like they stick around on you until you either get rid of them or until you die. Then like you start back off with nothing. Yeah. So the run I did where I ended up beating the game, like you can have a total of 5 parasites. And I had a parasite that was like, that reduced the chances of me coming across malignant items or reduced the chance of me getting a malfunction. So like when I was doing that run, I was just over there, like just attacking malignant things willy-nilly, just being more like open and liberal to taking a chance on malignant stuff. But that's how that is. So like that's part of like the challenge in the game. Outside of that, the enemies are pretty tough too, because like each room you go in, there'll be like, well, not every single room, but like rooms that you go in, the layout will be different. There's obviously like there's a set amount of like room structures, but every time you go into a room, you don't know what the room is going to be. So it could be set up one way, it could be set up another way. This could be a room where you're going to have a bunch of enemies. It could be a room where you walk in, you have a mini boss fight going on. Depends on the room you go in. But the enemies, there's elements of like bullet hell arcadey type games in the combat, because the enemies, like whenever you're going against them, they shoot out like just all these giant colorful orbs that just do all types of damage at you. And some of them are straightforward and easy to deal with, but sometimes it's like you'll have a mixture of different enemies attacking you, and like some of them will fly up to you and just like charge and hit you, whereas another one like shoot you from a distance. Another one's like, I'm gonna jump over to you and slam down on you. It can get very hectic very fast. If you don't have a good weapon for the for whatever encounter you're in, you can really kind of find yourself like SOL and like really struggling to get through. But I found the game to be a whole lot of fun because of the challenge. And again, I was challenged by fights, but I never found the game to be unbearably difficult or too tough to get through. Like I was actually very surprised when I'm getting to the game. I was like, everyone's saying this game is like super difficult, but it's not that bad. It's actually not too difficult. It's challenging for sure, but it's not the most difficult game in the world. Like I would say the game is easier than like Souls games, in my opinion. And granted, I've only played a bit of Bloodborne. I could never get past the first area. I've played an hour of Demon Souls. Souls games I know are not for me because of the difficulty, but I do want to go back to Demon Souls. But this game, challenging, yes. Very difficult, unbearably difficult, no. I think that part of why everyone has been making so much about the difficulty is because of the one major gripe that I have with the game and that a lot of people have with the game. I mentioned this to you before the show. It's the fact that there is no option to save in this game at all. Once you start a run, you are kind of locked into the game until you die. So the only way to save your progress on a run is by putting the system in rest mode, which is very annoying. Like if you're playing the game, there is no, there's 6 biomes in the game. So there is no, I'm having a great run. I have some great stuff and I'm on biome 4. I want to stop for now and play a different game. There is none of that. You are locked in. If you want to play something else, you either die or finish your run. And runs can go pretty long. Like you can be 4 or 5 hours into a run. And then it's just like, man, I want to play something else, but I can't because I'm going to lose all this progress. Or time for me to go to sleep, or I got to go to work. I want to turn the system off. Can't do that. You're going to lose everything. You got to put the system in rest mode and then pick it up again later when you come back. Like that is actually, it's pretty annoying. Now, I was kind of lucky that it was all I was going to play over the weekend anyway.
Yeah.
And I had the weekend to play it. But yeah, that is, I'm sure that's part of the difficulty, because I can't imagine how like annoying and crushing it has to be like hours into a run and then you die and then have to start all the way back at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like that is definitely really punishing. I will say this much is I guess you could say it is a light spoiler, not a story thing. I'll say it's a light spoiler though. So I guess ignore the next like 20 seconds of what I'm going to say starting now. Halfway through the game, there is a checkpoint. So once you reach like the halfway point of the game, if you die, you start back up at the halfway point of the game.
Okay.
Which is good. So if you want to leave, like if you want to like stop and play something else, you start back up at biome 4, not biome 1.
Yeah.
Which is good. It helps alleviate some of the difficulty and the stress, but even still, like even from biome 4 to from 6, 4 to 6 or whatever, still get hours into a run like that, and then it still sucks. If you die getting taken all the way back to the start, or if if you just want to play something else, you kind of can't. You're locked into that game.
Yeah.
That's very annoying. But regardless, it's still a lot of fun.
When you pause the game, does it pause the game?
Yes, the game pauses. You're able to pause the game and all like that. But there is no save and quit. There is no that's not there. It's just not.
That sounds like almost sounds like a benefit for something like smart delivery, where you could pause the game.
Quick resume.
Yes, that I don't know why I said smart delivery. Like pause the game, go play something else, come back to it.
No, yeah, it definitely does, which is what I've seen a lot of people saying, and I 100% agree. Having something like that would definitely benefit this, but also just being able to save the game and quit. Like even if it's a thing where it's like a temporary save, where it's like, all right, you save at this point, next time you come back to play, it brings you back to this point, but that save is gone. Like the save is deleted. That would, something like that would work. And Housemarque has tweeted out that they see what everyone's saying, and they're taking in feedback. So I would imagine that they're probably working on some type of save system behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But I did see an article, I forgot who it was by or where it was from, but I did see an article that was basically talking to like developers of other roguelikes, and like basically saying putting a save system in a roguelike is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. If it's not like already in there by design, it's not the easiest thing to put a save system in a roguelike game, period. So it's very different. It's very possible that they wanted to initially, they just couldn't make it work. But yeah, that definitely is my one big gripe with the game, and that's definitely part of why this game is so difficult. Because if you die like after hours of playing, it just sucks to go back to the very beginning and having to restart everything.
No, I can imagine that would be fairly challenging. I mean, it's bad enough when I'm playing Hades and my run's like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I die and I have to go right back to the start, let alone playing for like potentially like 4 or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to your review of Returnal. I'll definitely be giving that a watch when it comes out.
Yeah, it is such a good game. Like, as I was playing this, I was like, man, you know what? I might have to get Hades on my Switch. So I've been thinking about Hades for a while, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll give Hades a shot. Maybe I'll give it a shot because I'm liking this. Maybe I'll like Hades too. It's just such a great game.
Hades is so good.
And again, without getting too more into specifics and all, like I'll just say like real briefly, the game looks great. It sounds great. Like nothing like stellar, not like world game changing or anything by any means in terms of like audio, but just like the music in the game, it's really atmospheric. It sets the tone real well. There are some cool things that like I didn't play with headphones because I was recording my gameplay, and if I had my headphones in while I was recording, because just how my room is set up here, my recording wouldn't have the game audio. So I haven't done it with my headphones on, but just using my TV speakers. There was this one enemy that I was fighting in this environment, and like when I killed it, I'll say this, it was like in a water area, right? And when I killed it, like the explosion that happened sounded like what you would hear like for an explosion in the water, like, and it was like went out. It sounded really cool. Did a poor job of like explaining it, but like when you're playing, when you hear it, you're just like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. It sounds awesome. And the world itself, I like the aesthetic of it. It has a very specific aesthetic that heavily reminded me of a different IP, not a game IP, just a different IP in general. But it's it's creepy, but not like in a scary sense, more like in a foreboding, like ominous kind of sense, if you get what I mean. It's not creepy like you would see like a survival horror game, but creepy in the sense of, ooh, like, geez, this all looks like really weird and just like unsettling in a sense.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I love it. I love it. There's a specific, you'll see in the review. Like, I want to say it, but I'm kind of not, because I'm saving certain things I'm gonna say for the review.
Yeah.
But you'll see in the review like what exactly I mean, and the specific comparison I make. I imagine you'll see it, you'll be like, I understand, I get it. It's a great game. It's so much fun. I will say $70. I finished the game in just under 11 hours, and that was 3 runs. Well, 2 runs. I'm not counting the very first one where like you kind of have to die. So across 2 runs took me about just under 11 hours to finish the game, and I played some more last night. The game definitely, there is more to do once you beat the game. Then there's definitely, you can get a whole lot more out of it than just like the 11 hours. And I mean, it may even take you longer than that to beat the game, to finish the story.
Yeah.
I think it is worth the $70. I feel like I've gotten my money's worth from it. And I definitely want to plan to go back and play even more of it, because I want to see more. I want to get more. I want to have more fun with the runs and all, because the game is just so much fun. But I've definitely seen the $70 be a sticking point for some people. And I mean, I understand $7 is money. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it for this game. Housemarque did an amazing job with this game. It's incredible. I think as far as I know, it's like the first real like AAA roguelike type of game.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. It's fantastic. I think it's worth the money. If you're not a fan of roguelikes, if you typically don't really play them or haven't had much interest in them, give Returnal a shot. Yes, it is challenging. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, the save thing is a major issue, but the game is so much fun. The combat is a lot of fun. The world is just really engrossing. The story is really intriguing and interesting. Yeah, it's a great game. It's a lot of fun. People should definitely give this game a shot. Don't pass on this game. Don't pass on it. You give Returnal a shot. I promise you'll be returning for more. I did that on purpose. I was trying to find a way to fit that in.
Yeah, when I eventually get a PS5, Returnal is definitely a game I'm picking up. I really want to play that game.
Yeah, I heavily recommend it. Highly recommend it.
We are very quickly going to get through our question of the episode, because we have been going for 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Our question of the episode this week is, who do we think makes the best CGI trailers for their games in terms of like story, design, animation, overall just quality? Who do we think makes the best CGI trailers? Tyler, I'm going to go through to you. Just rapid fire, give me yours.
All right. Ubisoft automatically comes to mind, because some of their CG trailers, for their Assassin's Creed games, are just amazing. They're fantastic. I always think back on the Assassin's Creed Revelations trailer, the one that was basically the opening of the game. Real quick fun fact, that was going to be in the video. I decided not to put it in there though. It'll be in another video I do at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ubisoft does a great job with theirs. Blizzard does an amazing job. And this is the one I said before the show that I imagine you will say as well.
Yep. 100%.
Blizzard, like, I don't play their games aside from Overwatch. But their trailers are just always top notch. Like, their Overwatch ones are like basically Pixar movies in a sense. I love watching their trailers. I think Bethesda, like with Diablo is Blizzard.
Elder Scrolls Online.
But yeah, Elder Scrolls Online. There we go. Elder Scrolls Online. They have some good ones with them. But yeah, aside from Blizzard, they got some amazing
100%
over there. I can't think of others right. No, Square Enix. Square Enix also has some good CG ones too. I'm blanking on others right now, but those are just a few that I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, I have three that like I like whenever someone mentioned like asked me like what's the best CGI trailer or CG trailer for games. Riot Games for League of Legends. They're like cinematic music video type.
Oh yeah, ADA pop star. Oh my god, that
Yeah, yeah. That nothing to do with the game itself apart from it has characters from the game in it. It's cool as hell. I have all of KDA's songs on my driving playlist because they're top notch.
nice.
Even like Awaken, Warriors, get Jinxed, I think is the name of the other one, and then they also have like even like their older ones for like ones that came out like 2013, 2014 are like super high quality, top notch videos.
Nice.
So Riot Games for League of Legends definitely up there. Blizzard 100% up there for Overwatch, and the World of Warcraft cinematics are actually really well done as well.
yes, those
like,
two.
I think Blizzard is the best in terms of I don't know, maybe I think they might be tied with my third one, but for telling a story through the cinematic. Because they have multiple cinematics that all connect together.
Yeah.
So like for I've watched the Battle for Azeroth, the World of Warcraft trailer, like trailer series a bunch of times, and like there's very clearly a throughput story. Fun fact: I have watched the Overwatch Dragons cinematic so much I can quote it word for word.
Wow.
Like while I'm watching it, like I can narrate along with it, but I can't. Well, I don't know if I could do it off the top of my head. I haven't tried. And then my third one is Bungie with Destiny.
Oh my gosh.
Like specifically the Forsaken cinematics. They are so like well done in like in terms of everything, story, design, animation, just overall quality. They are so good. Like that scene where Cade's on his back and it what is it, Aldrin?
Yes.
And Aldrin is standing over him with a gun pointed at him. Like that scene is forever stuck in my head. Like Bungie does an absolutely killer job with cinematics.
Yeah, I forgot about Bungie with their CG trailers. Yeah, they do a good job with those.
Okay, that will conclude our episode of the Play to Win podcast for this week. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game, where you can submit questions to us. You can keep up with what we're doing and get any updates on the show. Also, while you are here on YouTube, remember to subscribe and tick the notification bell so you know when new videos go live. Keep an eye out for Tyler's Returnal review coming at some point soon, and my video on. I haven't decided what my video is going to be on this week. It's probably going to be a Resident Evil play. See, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you because I'm probably going to finish. Like, I plan to do a preview for it, but I'm probably going to have finished it before Friday. So,
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Maybe he'll have a review ready for Friday. Maybe not. We'll see. If not, then
Potentially.
put it out the following week or sometime, whenever you're able to.
Yeah. Tyler, where can people find you?
Over on Twitter at Tyler Miller 2496. Follow me over there. It's a fun time over there. Please give me, chat with me, talk to me, guys. I love you all.
Awesome, and you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Badlynet, BADLYNET, all one word. You can also find me on Instagram at Badly Snaps, which is like an amateur photography thing that I upload to sometimes. Yeah, so follow me over there. Thank you all very much for watching. Apologies, this episode ran a little bit longer than usual, and we will see you all next week.
See ya.